Hey everyone, Suzi Petrozzi here. I wanted to share something that's really important for what we're all going through at the moment, which is how do we keep perspective during these times? No doubt there is so much that's pulling our attention in so many different ways, be it people, be it situations, through what's happening maybe at home or through work from home, maybe even media. That's really a fact that a lot is being pulled, a lot is pulling our attention. And I was speaking to a beautiful group of colleagues around how do we keep perspective, and I wanted to share some of that because of the inspiration that came through. Just briefly, just to kind of help you get into that space of keeping perspective and to get you a little bit even maybe excited and inspired, even in times like these. And before we can really get to that place, if for those who are maybe not in that place, is the most important thing. It's like, if we have a challenge, if there's an obstacle in our way, we really need to acknowledge that obstacle. We have to see it for what it is. We can't really ignore it. And so one of the ways to pave way for focusing on the bigger picture again and keeping perspective is to acknowledge what's going on, acknowledge the current situation, acknowledge how it's impacting you, acknowledge how you're feeling about it, if you feel absolutely frustrated, overwhelmed, and if it's really changing for you, if it's like a wave and you notice that you feel different at different times, acknowledge that too. I mean, I've had those moments where one week I felt overwhelmed with, just getting everything in order and getting a routine going, particularly with kids at home. And now I'm kind of seeing the horizon. I'm starting to see the horizon, and it's pretty exciting. I'm starting to connect to this level of excitement and inspiration again, which for a moment I had disconnected from because I had to focus on the immediacy of the situation, the practicalities kind of around readjusting, course correcting, so to speak, to get me back on track, on my new track or new normal. This where we're at now is really has already required us to let go of the old normal and to embrace the new normal, for the time being. So acknowledging is number one. That's going to help us reconnect to perspective. And that acknowledging is, again, really acknowledge how you're feeling from moment to moment, what's going on in your body, sensations, on that level. This is really important because I've shared this in the last video. Unless we do that, it's going to hit us like a bomb at some stage, and probably has, already. And that's normal too, as long as we can return back to baseline. And that's really important. That's on each one of us as an individual to take responsibility to help us get to that place. Number two is around really looking at what's actually working. What have you managed to get in order? What are you excited about maybe, or what's working for you? What are you doing incredibly well as a family? I know for us now we're in a better routine, and I'm enjoying this kind of team spirit where everyone's working together and we're in this, in this kind of zone of creativity and zone of, thinking about problem solving, how to do things differently. So, and that's stemming also from having kids at home. So there's some incredible benefits from that. And really, what I'm asking you to do here is appreciate what's going well, appreciate and be grateful around certain things. Notice what those things are that you're grateful. So that's already going to start to set us into a different kind of space. It's going to connect us to start to align us to who we are, to our birthright, to feel good, to feel excited about what can come out of this. So really take the time to appreciate what's working well. What have you managed to execute well as a result of having to navigate these changes and having to organize and reorganize things. And then really come back to focusing on what are your strengths, or refocusing on your strengths. What is it that you do incredibly well? And even if that's been taken away from you in some way because you're having to work from home, how can you reinstate that at home on an individual level, or maybe you're already doing that, which is great, but this is really connecting you back to purpose. You know, what are you doing well? So for example, for me, my purpose is why, you know, which is that thing around why do we do what we do? To help people connect to their own truth. You know, what I do is I keep aligned, I keep inspired, I keep playful and you know, excited about the big picture, because it helps me. When I do that, it helps me it helps me to connect others to their own truth. Okay, so that kind of paves way for me to be able to do that. So I need to do whatever it is to help me align with that, so that I can help others do that. And that's kind of changing. Well, it's changing a little bit how I'm doing it. I think I'm just being more creative. I mean, I've done online stuff, but before, but I think I want you to think about how you can use the things that you're incredibly good at, even if it's on a small scale, because it's going to start to make you feel again back on purpose, being on purpose, feeling like you're connected to your mission, what you love doing the most. And then finally, you know, what do you want to see happen after? And this is a conversation that I love having with people that are open to this. And I certainly have a circle of people who are open to this, and you need to find your own. What are you excited? What would you like to see happen after the sort of, you know, the lockdown is over, after the whole COVID situation is done? What would you love to see different? What would you love to see change in the world? You know, what gets you really excited? And what gets you feeling kind of humbled? You know, for me, if I think about some of those things, I really want to see how we treat, how we are, I guess, being more considerate about the environment, all of us more collectively, feeling more connected to each other, appreciating that, given that we can't do that now as much on a physical level. And so many other things, you know, in terms of certainly where we're going with our business and what that may look like for us. So connecting to that as well, envisioning. This is about envisioning and really keeping that in your, certainly in your mind's eye, as well in your emotional body. And that's going to impact on so many other different levels. That's going to impact your action, but also your words, what you do, what you say, what you choose to be a part of, what you choose not to be a part of. So, and that's going to give us hope, perspective. That's what Viktor Frankl wrote about in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. I think that's a really relevant book at this time, a classic. I would encourage you to go and read it. It's not a big read. It's not a very thick book. It's a beautiful book. It's a very profound book with incredibly important messages. So yeah, look it up, and it could be a great read for this time. So thanks for joining, and wishing you well.